Everyone. Welcome to today's live Q&A with Kekai Kotaki. Basically, before we begin the actual Q&A, I'd like to go over a few points. Please make sure to enter your questions in the actual questions and answers box that you guys should have seen when you first logged in. But beyond that, just try to ask at least one question and give other people a chance to ask a question as well before you ask multiple questions. We're going to try to go in the order they're received, basically. For those of you who have microphones, please let me know so that when I get to your question, basically, I can basically enable you to use your mic to talk to Kekai directly. Aside from that, I'll just say start entering all your questions in now while I turn the screen over to Kekai, who will give a basic introduction of who he is and everything for you guys, and hopefully you enjoy this Q&A. Kekai, if you're there, I'm switching over to you.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, so you can start now with your basic introduction, sir.
Hello, people. My name is Kekai Kotaki, and this is my live Q&A session of my workshop. You guys don't know what I look like. This is me right here. I am concept art lead at ArenaNet, working on Guild Wars 2. I also have, I'm also an illustrator on the side. I do various novel covers and other different games such as Magic the Gathering and some other stuff. But yeah, other than that, that's me in a nutshell. I mean, not much to it. There's some of the stuff I've done before, various concepts and illustrations. But yeah, I've been working at ArenaNet for almost 7 years now. I first got started as a texture artist at ArenaNet. That was my first gig over there. Though it's a little low, I painted the ground, painted rocks and stuff. So, maybe not the greatest thing in the world, but it was a job, and it was in a video game company, and I was making games, so I was quite happy. But slowly but surely, drawing textures and drawing rocks and dirt and grass was not, the end all thing I was hoping for. So just worked hard, kept at it, and gradually progressed my way to being a concept artist. So I think it was, I believe, in Guild Wars Factions I did my first concepts, but I was still doing terrain stuff. Nightfall, I believe, is when I really became a concept artist, per se. That's pretty much all I did. And then Eye of the North, I was a concept artist, and then finally, when we're in the almost the very beginning of Guild Wars 2 production, I was able to come on as a concept art lead. So during that time period, most of that time I spent really just focusing on concept art. Focusing on it and getting better, honing my skills and stuff like that. Didn't quite focus doing freelance at that point. I did some stuff very early on. I did some illustrations for snowboards for K2 and some other smaller snowboarding companies. But after that, after I got my gig, I basically just focused on concept art and video game art. It wasn't until like recently where I actually started doing a lot of illustration on the side and freelancing stuff. So.
Okay, Kekai. We have a few questions that actually did.
Awesome. Ask away.
But I'll start with the first a really interesting question from a Karen Kotaki, I believe.
Oh. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
She would like to know, what was your main source for inspiration for your artwork?
Oh, this is a very funny story, Mom, actually. Yes, my mom's listening on top of it. Hi, Mom. Love you. Glad you're watching.
Thank you,
Um,
Karen.
uh, well, actually, you know what? What's the big inspiration for me for getting into fantasy art was actually you. Because way back in the day, remember, you used to read a lot of books back in the day, right? So you used to go to the library and pick up, like, stacks of books, right? Now, half the stacks of books were those, those dime romance novels, right? So I would never ever read that. But then the other half of the stack was all these fantasy novels, and that's where I actually got started. Where I'm like, I started reading these fantasy novels, and they were so awesome. And that's basically where all my inspiration, and that's where I wanted to do my art and stuff really came in, because basically reading those stories and imagining it, I really just wanted to convey that feeling. And the stuff I draw, the fantasy imagery that I draw, are basically like seeing that stuff and then really just putting it down so people can see it. So
Wow, that's awesome, actually. Great source of inspiration. Thanks. Go, Mom. Uh, we're going to move on to a question from John Forcucci, I believe. This is how you pronounce his name. John doesn't have a mic, but his question is, you mentioned converting to 300 DPI for print. At what point in the process?
usually, well, that depends. I mean, first off, I mean, uh, well, I mean, this is like right here, right? And usually, like, converting to 300 DPI, um, that's for print. So basically what happens is, like, towards the end, like, say, like, maybe the 3/4 of the way, when it's just like when I'm putting on like really like tight finish, I would switch it to 300 dpi. Would basically be like,
All right.
which is basically like that. So I mean, and then that's what happens. So and then I'll just save this and turn that in.
So you do this prior to the finalizing of the actual piece, or?
Yeah, it's either before I finalize it, or if I just space out before I send it off, I'll just resize it, the file, and then just send that.
Right.
So it really is just it's towards the end.
Okay. Our next question is going to come from Michael Yantis, I believe, Marino. Mike actually does have a microphone. So Mike, if you're there, can you say hello?
Hi, I have a question.
We can't hear you. Can you speak closer to your microphone?
Yeah, sure. My question is, mm, okay. When you begin to paint, you use a brush with random shapes. Which are active in the options menu of the brush palette? Why? Well, what options?
Okay. I'm going to repeat the question he asked again for those who didn't hear it. He says his question is, when you begin to paint, you use a brush with random shapes. Which are active in the options menu of the brushes palette?
Oh, okay. That is dual brush. So basically what happens is, so this is my regular brush. This is the brush I use all the time, right? So when you go to dual brush, which is right here, right, it basically overlays, it takes the alpha and it basically overlays it into your current brush. So basically what happens is I still have that shape, right? But now there's a different brush in there. And basically it's this brush right here. So what I'll do right now is I'll find that brush. So this is the regular brush, right? This is the brush that's overlaid into this. So this brush here is in there. So what happens in dual brush is that you can control how the second brush interacts with it by using diameter, spacing, and scatter. So spacing is like, just like if you So if you can see on my monitor, you can see like how much it's going. You can control like the output of like that second brush, how much it affects it. Scattering, and also you can choose like how differently, like how it interacts with it with layer modes. I'll just use color burn, and then flipping it actually like randomize like it just flips it. So turning all these things on, you get like this. By playing around with those different options, you can get and by the way you use it, you can get like a nice like randomized feeling to it.
Okay.
I hope that helped. Yeah, I hope that.
I think it should. I believe so. Yes, he says yes, thanks. Okay. The next question we're going to ask is coming from Jose Artundo. He doesn't have a mic, so I'm going to ask it for him. His question is, how much time do you have at Guild Wars 2 project to completely finish a piece?
Working on Guild Wars, they understand, we've worked hard at this. They understand that we're very good at our job, and that they'll give us as much time as we need. But as artists ourselves, it's a job, and we need to have responsibility on that. So basically, like, it will take as long as needed. But if it's taking too long, it's like, dude, you got to turn something in. So really, it can be like, I would never want to spend more than a week on a piece. Anything longer than that is just like, but that depends, because like, that's just working on a piece like straight on. If the project you're working on is like going through like a bunch of review processes, if you need to make changes, they'll give you time, like, oh, change this, turn it in the next day, and that. So you get a section when you're working on that, but then that's just like on a regular piece, right? If they need a concept illustration for a new player, race, or profession that's going to go out live on top of the website or something, yeah, you need to get it done. So I mean, there's that too. I mean, I've been busted out, or you need a concept for a game mechanic that's going in the game that they need to try out on Thursday, and they're telling you this on Tuesday. I mean, you better crank out that stuff really, really fast, so that because you're a concept artist, you're at the beginning of the line. So basically, you have to do it. You have to recognize that your work speed is affecting other people, because if you don't do the concept in a reasonable amount of time, the modelers, the game designers, they're waiting on you. So basically, just crank that stuff out fast and be responsible. But they recognize that we do a good job, and that if they give us, they trust us to come up with a good idea. If we're taking it well, they understand that it's going to be kick-ass when it comes out.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kekai, for that answer. Our next question comes from Raymond Tan. I want to ask it for him. I'm a big fan of your work and love your style. Most of the positions I see available in the video game industry require you to have a certain number of shipped games under your belt. Do art directors even consider someone who has no experience? Do you need to have a portfolio so incredible that it compensates for lack of industry experience? Thanks.
Yes. I mean, that's for sure. If you ship the titles, if you show good work, that's always like a plus, right? But if you want to get the jobs, like the really cush jobs, I mean, you have to have something so amazing. So basically the two people when I joined the arena, the two concept artists that we hired that did not have any previous experience, and we hired right out of school, was Matthew Barrett and Jamie Jones. So if your portfolio does not look like that, I want to get your hopes up of cracking into the industry. I mean, those two are really talented people. So I mean, but yeah. So of course, if you're like a talented like that much talent, of course they're going to snatch you up. But the reality is not many people are like that. So basically, as I said before, I started out the bottom rung. So that's the way it goes most of the time. So
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kekai. Um, the next question we have is from, I believe, Autumn Fredrickson. Autumn asks, could you share how you, okay, I think you already answered this, but I'll ask it again just in case. Could you share how you broke into the industry, even if it was a less than ideal job? What were those early experiences like? Many thanks.
Well, yeah, well, I said it before. I guess I could give a little more detail.
A brief little detail is fine.
Yeah, so, I interviewed at Arena that had no experience and had nothing. They needed like a texture artist to paint like little 112 by 112 112 by 112 squares and such. So basically, I had something like that where I had to paint like the ground inside of it. So yeah, so that's how that. So it'll be like
Okay.
rock and stuff. But yeah, so that's what they hired for me to do because like that was the only I wasn't that amazing. They didn't need a concept artist, but you know what? I needed a job. I needed to pay rent and stuff. So I did it. And basically just getting yourself in the door and then, not losing sight of the fact of the matter is that I never lost sight of the fact that I wanted to do a concept art. I always I went home and I just, drew just because I'm like, I'm not going to paint rocks all day long.
Wow.
F that.
That's the spirit.
So, but yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Kekai. The next question is, wait 1 second, let me see if they have a mic.
I don't have.
Okay, so the next question is from Cassiano Benjero. They ask, I need to know the brush you use that works like oil, the one you use on the rocks in the right side. Is a personal brush, yes? If yes, man, I need to know how you create that.
Rocks on the side.
I believe, I'm assuming to the beneath the dragons.
Right here?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay, so that's a combination of things. So basically, like all my brushes, like basically.
Oh, actually, he says his question was already answered. But I would say go ahead with what you were about to say.
Okay. So basically, let's see what happens with any brush tour making, right? Basically, this is my go-to brush, right? Right, and I can adjust it how I want to. By the way I use the brush, so basically, if I want a line, continue straight. If I want, a softer edge, and by doing that, and then basically, and then after that, I can put in texture by just clicking on this, and then by using dual brush, and everything is placed off of each other. Strokes start like this, but then I'll turn on my texture, and then I'll end it, and I'll modify it and adjust it. Those are not the only ones I use. I use my smudge brush. So basically, this is the smudge brush. So so this guy right here. But yeah, you pick a noisy brush. I like to pick this guy right here. And then by that. So basically, what happens is you turn on scatter, you adjust it how you want, right? And basically, this is what it kind of gives you. And then again, just playing around with it and knowing what it can do, and being able to control it to get what the effect, to get what you want. So I'll use these and you can actually turn it off, and then you can get a nice hard edge. So
I'm actually learning a couple of things here too now.
by using these things and understanding how, I'm really like, as you just saw, these are like the 4 things that I use, right? Or 5, I don't know, brushes, right? I use a very limited brush set just because, I'm a simple guy. I don't want to complicate matters. I really just want to get the work done. And basically, using these like brushes, you just have to know what you can do with it and be able to control it, because I'll be using these same brushes to paint clouds, using the same brushes, the same techniques to paint clouds as I'll do to paint rocks. It's just like, or like the technique's different. The brushes are the same, but the techniques are different. The way I use them in conjunction with each other are different. But just, playing around with that, and, not to say that you shouldn't explore. It's always fun to explore, but a lot of my work is done for professional, commercial reasons, and I really can't, like, it's never good. I never thought it was a good idea just to dick around and just be like, oh, I hope it comes out good on a job. No, I want to be like, no, if I'm going to do work, I'm going to do work. On the side, when I'm playing around, yes, that's when you get like experiment with brushes and be like, oh, yes, yes, yes. But, yeah.
Okay. Great points there, Kekai. Thanks. Olivia has a question. I'm not sure if Olivia has a mic. Oh, Oliver, I'm so sorry. I'm saying Olivia. Oliver, if you are there, do you have a mic, Oliver?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, can you speak a little bit closer to your mic so we can hear you?
Here? It's okay.
Or a little louder?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead. You can ask your question.
My question is, what kind of information they give you in your work to make the concept art?
What kind of direction, or?
Yeah.
I don't know, what kind of information around ideas or?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, sometimes it's like, especially like early in the project, be like, oh, create whatever, and then you can just like draw whatever you want, right? It's like that's great. As a project progresses more and more, things become specific. There's specific needs, and then when there's specific needs, descriptions definitely ramp up. Working at Raymond, they're really, again, this all go back to trust, just like, we've proven that, we come up with kick-ass ideas and we're all badass artists. But basically what happens is they'll have a specific need, and then all they really give you, they don't want to shoehorn you at all. But all they'll really give you is where it fits in the game. So basically, if it's a monster in the jungle, we're not going to be drawing like something that's not going to fit. If this belongs to a certain culture that we've established already, we're going to draw it in that established culture. So bosses and such, they'll have like, when we're drawing bosses, they'll be like, I just had this meeting like this week actually, just like they were going over like boss ideas and such. They're open to ideas, just like, oh, we need it big, and like, oh, okay, what rig? And then like a lot of it comes on to animation rigs if it's like creatures. So like, what creature can we put on? Blah blah blah. And it's like discussing, and then it's really open and free and such. And it's not so specific. It's not like really specific where they're like, oh, we need to draw this person with that. No, they're just gonna give you the overall things. You create something cool and badass to like kind of fit that loose description.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that answer, Kekai. The next one we have is from Erwin. He asks, when you're using gradients to fill your lasso tool shapes, are you doing that on a separate layer?
Usually I am, yes.
Okay.
If I make a mistake, I'm not using it. So.
All right. The next question we have is from Sung Shen. They ask, how are you changing values with the same brush?
Uh, I usually just select it by pressing Alt. And then by using that and in conjunction with pressure sensitivity on my opacity, that's how I control my values with the same brush. Also, as a piece progresses, um, using my lighten layers and stuff and darken layers to control. Such. So.
Okay.
Oh, hope that
I
worked.
think that works. Next question is from Lloyd Allen. Does ArenaNet have any art internships, and what kind of things would you expect from them?
Right now we don't have any art internships open currently for this coming year, but we hope to. We always we're always on the lookout for bright talent, and basically what we want is talented people who are willing to learn and such. So not much more I can say to that. I mean, it's like,
No
if you're
worries.
good, you're good. We want you.
That's
if
fine.
you're not, then if you're too much of a work in progress, maybe not. Sorry, but yeah.
Okay. Let me see. I'm reading ahead here. Okay, Todd, I'm not sure if you have a microphone or not, so I'm going to test you in a second here. Just let me know. If you're there, just say hello, Todd. Todd, are you there? Oh, sorry. Okay, he doesn't have a microphone. No problem. Okay, I'll ask a question on his behalf. Todd asks, hi, Kekai. Great lessons, thanks. I practice drawing really hard. I want to optimize my drawing time. How much time did you spend drawing dragons in fantasy versus studying from life?
I draw a lot of dragons and such. I mean, I don't know. Drawing from life is definitely something I can recommend that you do and such. But at some point, I mean, a lot of things. I mean, I think what people find attractive about my work is that it's not really so real. I mean, there is like that comic book quality to it, which is like a little bit exaggerated, a little bit more. It's more hyper realistic than anything else. Like it's just more. So I mean, you gotta practice the life drawing a lot to to be able to recognize what's going on with the human body to actually achieve that. But at the same time, I mean, if you get so into like it has to be real, it has to be real. I mean, I feel like there's like you lose kind of that sense of like dreamlike or like that epic quality by being so like latched on to like what's real. So
Right.
I mean, I see that a lot in like
Yeah, Todd commented that it's hard not to get bogged down in reality.
yeah, I mean, I see this a lot with like when I look at like a lot of like fine art students when they're fine artists who are like they send like their portfolios, amazing life drawing, like beautiful works. I mean, it's just like we're just like, oh wow. As soon as they try to draw a space marine in or like an alien, it's like, dude, that looks stupid. What are you thinking? It's just because like they don't practice like drawing from the mind too. I mean, the drawing from real life is like very important, but also if you want to become a illustrator or like a concept artist, you need to practice drawing from the mind too, drawing what's not real. So.
Okay.
Yes, I draw a lot of dragons.
Right.
And a lot of knights.
Okay.
I don't draw that many apples in real life.
Okay, I have another question that I'm not sure if I asked it on Benjamin Green's behalf, but you can just let me know real quick if I have, Kekai. He says, you're certainly a lot less shy about your use of black than most. Got any tips regarding your use of value? Did we?
No, we never answered that.
Okay, so
We never
perfect.
answered that.
Sorry, Benjamin, I think I skipped you by mistake, but that was your question. So again, I'll answer it one more time. It says, you're certainly a lot less shy about your use of black than most. Got any tips regarding your use of value?
Most of that probably is I kind of like tell my friends just like, I'm only like known, a lot of people like my work, but I'm glad they do, right? But most of it, I'm like, dude, I'm mostly known for like all my flaws. I mean, like the whole black stuff is just me being like, dude, I don't understand this, but too much. But I'm gonna make it look as good as what I feel looks good. So if I'm gonna put black, it kind of just all streams from this like fact of the matter is I need to get my idea to you. So man, if I'm gonna throw in like a shape in the foreground, boom, it's black, or like boom, there's gonna be fire inside of it. It's all just gone down to this like basically like I am gonna convey my imagery to you in like the least amount of time possible. It's just like in your face, go. So.
All right, perfect. Thanks for that answer, Kekai. The next question we have is from Yosra El Said. I'm not sure, but we'll check really quick to see if they have a microphone. If you're there, you're Sarah? Yasra? Okay, can you ask your question?
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry.
No
Well,
problem.
I was wondering if a company would like a person with a rather unique style, or do they prefer people who have a more flexible style?
You're saying, so would a company rather have a person with a unique style or a more flexible style?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean flexible, like realistic or something like that.
Realistic?
Yeah, because I've heard many people within the game branch say that they want like realistic styles and such stuff. But maybe it's just here in Sweden. I don't know how it works in the rest of the world.
I mean, it usually goes down to like, depends on, another thing about, finding a job, right, is like doing research about what's the company looking for. I mean, if you're going to be drawing in a cartoony style, a more comic bookish, maybe manga-ish type of cutie style, I'm not saying that you do it like that, but just saying that using this extreme right here. If you're drawing like cartoony style and you're trying to get a job at Epic Games, makers of Gears of War, you might run into some issues. But if you took that stuff and you went up to I forget which game company, Snowblind, maybe back in the day when they're making Ratchet and Clank. But Ratchet Clank, or like fit in your what you like to do, and try finding a company that that's what they do. I mean, it's always like that's why I like to tell people, right? Because like I'm not gonna be submitting my portfolio to Pokemon anytime soon. Even though if they did offer me a job, I would take it in a second. But yes, I'm not going to be submitting myself to them because, I'm also not going to be doing a lot of like, honestly, like, hopefully you can get to a point where you'd be like, hey, this is what I do. I want to do this. I like to draw big badass things, fighting each other, epic scenes. So probably not going to be doing something like a casual game. I'm probably not going to be doing that anytime soon.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be like changing my style to get a job. I'll probably be like, you get to the point where, hey, your thing is beyond anything else that anyone else is doing. They'll come find you. So which is like the way everybody would like to get to the point. So,
Right. Well, thanks a lot for that question, Yasra, and Kekai for answering. We're going to move on to the next question from Matt Conley. Matt, I don't know if you told me if you had a mic or not, so I'm going to activate you right now. Matt, if you're there, can you say hello?
Hello.
hello.
Hello, Matt. You can ask your question now.
Okay. I use an Intuos, and it's hard to find anywhere that has a Cintiq to test drive, and I was just wondering how the Cintiq compares. Did you start with using a regular tablet like an Intuos?
Yes. Yes. I used at work I used the Intuos, and I saw the Cintiqs and stuff, and I tried it. It was awesome, but the fact of the matter is that work wasn't buying them, so all I was stuck at work was like Intuos 3, 4. So basically I just used that because basically, like, you know, all my work's doing there. I don't want to, one of the biggest problems I find with a Cintiq and Intuos is I don't like the orientation. Is really different. I mean, it's just like, you know, I spent years drawing without a pen into my face with the Intuos, and all of a sudden I switched over to the Cintiq, and all of a sudden I have a pen in my face all the time, and I have to lift up my hand. It's like really jarring, right? So now I use a Cintiq just because I just bought one for home, and then work got some for us for our jobs like recently. So basically, yeah, it was a very it was a change. I'm not too sure I quite like it, but I gotten used with it. A friend of mine once described it as, you know, the Cintiq's really good for drawing. The Intuos is more good for, like, you know, actual kind of like painting. So I mean, it's just like there's a weird. This is something I noticed is there's just a weird shift of when you draw the Intuos, or when you paint the Intuos, all your strokes you can see it immediately, your changes. When you're drawing with the Cintiq, I kind of have to like move my hand around just because like there's a pin in my face. It was really weird. Anyway, but yeah, I use the Cintiq now. So just because, like, you know, if I was I'm not gonna be half and half. If it's gonna be one, I want to work on it because I want to be comfortable in my workstation. So.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, just to use the same and whatever you get most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Thank you for that question, Matt. We have to go to the next one, and if we have time, we'll come back to you. The next question we have is from Art S. He doesn't have a mic, but he would like to ask, where do you get info or details about drawing / paint armors and weapons? How to make them so unique and so different, and any source you can recommend if we want to draw a nice weapon / armor.
Well, there's always history books. I mean, just I mean, everything should be like kind of like based off of real life. I mean, no matter how like extravagant it becomes inside the concept, things are a little bit nicer when they're like grounded in the kind of reality, right? In terms of like cool stuff where I get my sources, it's a bunch of just like, you know, looking at reference of armors, understanding armors, and looking at other artists and other like sources of information, finding things that I like and stuff, and then like from there gathering all that separate pieces of information, and then
and you take in your own like pictures as well, like reference pictures and stuff?
Do I take my own?
Yeah.
No. Well, I have like a reference folder.
Oh, but no camera running around taking pictures at museums and things?
No, I don't like taking pictures.
No problem.
But yeah, so taking all that, and then like once it's inside your head, you spit it back out on the page, you take your own like sense of style and what you think is good, and you just kind of overlay it, and it becomes like a big thing. You just like kind of cook it on screen, and it pops out, and hopefully it's cool and everybody likes it. If not, then well, too bad. But yeah, so all that cool armor and stuff. I mean, it's just like you just working with all that and just like trying to make cool armor, and that's what basically I do. There's not a go-to guide to like cool armor, I guess. So
Okay.
it's just like finding all the information and putting it together when you actually draw the armor. So
I think that's good, Kekai. The next question we have is from Ismail Wamala. Doesn't have a mic, so I'm going to ask for them. Glow effects. In your paintings, vibrant sunlight in the landscapes, how do you paint them in?
let's see. Usually it becomes like a sort of like a helps that you can change your values and control them so you can actually get that sort of sense. But after that, it's usually like, you get your values correct, and then honestly, like, whatever happens after that, it doesn't really matter. Values are more important than any sort of color.
Okay.
So basically, just gain those values right, and then setting up that dramatic sense of like that lighting situation, setting up that in your values, and just using like some simple soft light layers and some grunt work. Painting, and then you can just kind of get that feeling off it. So.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kekai, for that answer. The next question we have is from Alex Lee. He says, "Hi, glad to be here, and I've learned a lot from your art. My question is, beyond the concept artist job, how do you conceive your artistic career in the future in 6 to 10 years?
I don't know, actually. I hope I'm doing art. I hope I'm better at art in 6 to 10 years. But otherwise, in terms of just art, yeah, I can't really say. I mean, I just hope I'm doing art in some capacity. I can't really like say where I'm going to be at. I really don't like doing that. I mean, all the things I've been able to do is just by me being like presented an opportunity and just taking it. So who knows? And basically all I can do at this point is just be ready for whatever can pop up. So
that's fair. Zachary Graves asks, well, let me first see if Zachary, has no, okay. I'm going to read a question for Zachary. I saw in the workshop you began paintings at a very large scale with low resolution, 80-inch paintings with 72 dpi, then switched to high resolution much later. Why do you prefer this over a smaller painting with a high resolution early on?
Just personal preference. This all started way back in the day when I had a really crappy computer, and for some reason the high DPI did not want to work with my computer. It always like the low DPI one. It just seemed to run faster by painting 72 DPI rather than 300. So basically, I just kept that and just kept on working on it. It's just a personal preference of mine.
Okay. That's
about it.
No problem. That's fair. The next question we have is from Dixon Levitt, I think. Levitt. They don't have a mic, so I'm asking on their behalf. What are some tips for making your character poses dynamic?
Dynamic character poses, really just going to the life drawing and really finding out what the body and not going to the life drawing, right? And drawing a human body, understanding what it looks like, and drawing it well is very key. But more importantly, when you're at life drawing, you should also be trying to understand how the body works also. So that when you do start to, so not only can you draw the human body like in any sort of position, you can also make the human body find that position. So basically, like, you know, if I'm drawing a character like that, I may not want it to be like that. I may want to change that arm and stuff, and so basically changing things up, rotating elbows. Hey, maybe it's cool, like the hands like that. But definitely, it's being able to find the most. The key is like just finding that. The key to a dramatic like pose is like, you know, you finding it. It's not usually like the first thing. You maybe have a good idea. It's like drawing a thumbnail. It's like a thumbnail inside your composition. It's like basically you're trying to find it. So being able to understand the body to such a degree that you can actually like kind of find it, and then just like being able to step back and recognize, hey, that is dramatic. Like you have to be your own self-director. Like you have to be your own director. And be like, yes, that's a dramatic pose. People can understand it. So it takes a little bit of just like you just have to do it, and you just have to learn trial and error and stuff. So some poses work better than others in certain situations, and then understanding what the storyline within the composition and stuff, you know, it gives you a greater sense of like what's going to be the highlight, you know, what's going to be like that moment.
Okay, great, Kekai. Our next question is from, I believe, Matthew. His mic is currently off because his kids are playing in the background, so we'll ask the question for him. Matthew asks, do you feel you were competent with 3D before you got a job as a texture artist?
Oh, I was a terrible 3D artist. They hired me on as a texture artist because my 3D was so. Yeah, my 3D was quite. I knew how to open the program. That's what it.
Okay, that's fine. Our next question is from Georgie, who has not actually written a question yet. However, he does have a microphone, so I'm going to activate his mic so that you can at least talk to him. So, Georgie, if you're there,
Yes. Good day.
Can you speak close to the mic and a little bit louder for us? Thank you.
Is this okay?
Perfect.
Okay. I'll try to be fast. So I've had an Intuos 3 for about 5 years. I'm very pleased with it, and I had a carpenter custom make an addition to my desk so that I can paint at 30 degrees, for the sake of convenience and so that it isn't unpleasant. But recently I've been developing the initial symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome in my left hand, which I use for the express keys, and I just wanted to ask if, in your experience, Kekai, the Cintiq has more advantages in terms of ergonomics in comparison to other non-screen-based tablets.
To tell you the truth, honestly, like my hands actually hurt a little bit more by using the Cintiq than actually when I was working with the Intuos. Because my, I don't know, it's just the whole fact of the matter is that my posture is like terrible when I'm working at the Cintiq. My posture was actually better when I was using the Intuos because I used to just like go like all lowrider style and just draw with me like slouching back, which is actually like, you know, arms like all actually in the right position. But when I'm like drawing the Cintiq, I'm all like hunched over. All my hands are like, you know, crowded into like trying to press buttons and stuff. So honestly, like, I don't know, man, I would like to say it's better. Some people say it's better, but I don't know. The fact of the matter is, you know, using anything like these contraptions for any long periods of time is going to cause some problems without, if you don't like take any sort of like, you know, safety precautions when using it. Take your breaks, you know, find out those stretches that you can do and stuff, and just maybe just like don't just stop drawing for a couple of days and stuff. So
Okay, thank you very much.
So, yeah,
can I just ask a last quick question? Which version of the Cintiq are you using, the
uh,
newer one or the older one?
I got the older one at work, and I use the newer one at home.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We have 3 more questions, and then we're going to be wrapped for time. The next question is from Alexander Tumler. He doesn't have a mic, so I'm going to ask this. I'm not sure if we went over this a little bit already, but I'll ask it again. He asked, he says, great workshop. Do you always start off with shapes for designs like armor, or do you create line art when it comes to specific designs with strict guidelines?
No, actually, I always use type of like shapes for stuff like that. So
he basically says because for him it's very hard to figure out good designs without having a plan. So
yeah, well, whatever works for you. I mean, art is, there's so many different ways to do it, but yeah, I usually, I start off with my silhouette, and I put, the details like kind of pop up afterwards throughout the process. So, I mean, I'm trying to find some examples of some old stuff that I can show you how I start stuff. Again, just hold on for a second. Yeah, but yeah, rarely line drawing. I'm not really a line drawing guy for details. All that kind of stuff just emerges when I'm doing it. So, geez, I'm trying to find. Yeah, that's just. Where are the? Yeah, so yeah, I don't really use line drawings for that. So.
Okay, I think I have 2 more questions. This next one, let me see here. One second, I lost my place. From Raymond 10 again. Have you experimented with any of the other programs out there, such as Painter, ArtRage, and Sketchbook? If so, what are your impressions on them?
I experimented with, I used Painter very early on in my digital art career, but I didn't like it, so I just used Photoshop. I saw ArtRage and I played around with it, but I still like Photoshop. And really, all that circuit stuff, I mean, if you like it, use it. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, if you're good, you're going to be good whichever one you want to be good in, right? Like, you take like any really good Painter person and you compare them to any really good Photoshop person, it really doesn't matter what program they used. So, I mean, it's just like, you pick one and just really get good with it. Exploration is great, but again, part of my big spiel is I like to get work done. Experimentation is great on your free time, but when I want to do work, I'd rather be practicing the program I'm using to do work, so that's Photoshop. So.
Awesome. And our last question for this live Q&A will be from Mauricio. He asked, you start your project painting in black and white, and afterwards you colorize. What is the advantage of this style?
For one thing, this is how I always used to do it, so that's one advantage. I've been doing it a long time. But usually, it helps you train your values. Honestly, like sometimes if you're not too good at values, sometimes you can be like distracted by like color and stuff. So, but since I've always been like I never really played around with color. I never really understood it. Never really like got around to it. So basically, what happened was I just like just started doing black and white, and just like that rule of thumb: value first, color second. It's really just like that. Really is what black and white drawing is, or any sort of like low chromatic scheme is all about. So basically, that's where it came from. So I try to hit my values first, and then I can throw on any stupid color I want. And usually, if I use some common sense, it'll turn out all right. So.
Okay. Actually, this is a little unorthodox, but someone inspired us with this very last question. So this will be it. No more questions, folks. And Alex, you can thank yourself for this. What do you do to make yourself a better artist? Do you copy any traditional masterpieces or some study from pictures? I think that's a great question to close out with. So I think we'll wrap on that question. So Kekai, if you can answer that.
So how do I make myself a better artist? Do I study?
Do you copy any traditional masterpieces or some
No.
study from pictures?
No. I don't copy anything, really. I don't know. I never really got around. Never really did it. Honestly, I'm just like more interested in like looking at it and seeing it and seeing that seeing something that I want from it, and then trying to remembering it more than just like looking at it and copying it straight from there. Because like then when I take from looking at that masterpiece and try to do it on my own, it sort of it kind of mutates and becomes my own thing. So, but yeah, so it basically, what you see is like kind of like, I've learned by looking at a lot of things, different sort of things, and incorporating it into my works. But am I going to straight up like do a master copy? No. Should I? Probably, yeah. I mean, practice is always good and stuff, but I just have more fun doing my own art and trying to
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Kekai, for your time and for your amazing workshop, and for everyone that joined in on our live Q&A. Before we close out this session, I'd like to basically say that we're uploading the live Q&As from last week. They should be up, I believe, this Monday or so. So check back on our website for a special page with those particular live Q&As. And this particular one and tomorrow's live Q&A will be uploaded sometime at the end of the week. So please check back for that. For those of you who did participate and who also watched Kekai's workshop, please make sure to fill out the surveys on his page. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next live Q&A. And remember, we have other workshops available for purchase. So go back on the site, check them out, and let us know what you think. And again, Kekai, thank you so much for all your wonderful work.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and listening to my spiel. Hope I provided some sort of help and information. So.
Awesome. And take care. Goodbye, everyone.